Here's a great idea for your next outing. A cruise of the L.A. Harbor on a Spirit Cruises yacht. Spirit Cruises offers everything you need to relax and enjoy your time on the water. For more information, call 310-548-8080 or visit spiritmarine.com.
Time now for another Thrashpie Radio Podcast. This is where I celebrate the pure rock years of Southern California's heavy metal flagship, KNAC-FM. Howdy, I am Thrashpie, your favorite guy, the aforementioned dude. Now, we're heading into these podcasts that are getting a little bit more, let's say, inside baseball for fun. This is sort of inside the station, so to speak. What we did was certainly for our audience and you know, all like that there. But what you didn't get to see was some of the, you know, the inner workings. Some of those inner workings actually wound up not only on the air, but spreading the good word and our public relations sort of word out into the audience and to the musicians who, you know, were our bread and butter. And nobody really did that more than a guy named Craig Williams, who hosted our KNAC Pure Rock local show, right? Craig was responsible for breaking so many bands, getting so many people, helping to get bands signed, to be honest with you. And so we can say that he was responsible through KNAC for launching many a career. Craig's history with the station began way before the pure rock era.
I actually came to KNAC in like 1982, I think, 81, 82.
Wow.
Fresh out of broadcasting school. When I was in broadcasting school, my counselor, mentor, whatever you want to call it, he worked at KNAC. And when I finished that, he goes, "Hey, do you want to come be an intern?" "Sure, I'll do that." And he goes, "We can't pay you, but be an intern." And that's when I started there. I was there started with the Rock and Rhythm. Did that for a couple of years, you know, and then I was there for the whole change. I was actually one of the survivors, I guess. I made it through the Rock and Rhythm and into the pure rock, partially because I wasn't one of the bigger names there. I wasn't, like, people didn't really know who I was at that point. So, you know, anytime radio stations change, it's like it's out with the old and with the new. But I was there. I mean, I've always been into the hard rock and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I was into hard rock, heavy metal, whatever, since the 70s and early 80s stuff. But the two guys that were doing the music logs, me and Gonzo, we used to have to write these things in. So, like, the first year or two, it was all handwritten by me and Gonzo.
And Kevin Stevens was?
He was the music director. They had a consultant at the time.
Oh, right, Pollock.
Yeah, and consultant, they would come in and say, "This is what should be played," and blah, 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 you know. And, of course, consultants are so out of touch, you know. And meanwhile, I'm going, "Why aren't we playing this and not that?" And it's like, shut up and write, you know?
Yeah, well, no, they didn't know anything about that genre. No, they didn't. KNAC was there, you know. That became something they could put in their resume. They really didn't have that much to do with it.
And I was producing the morning show. We were talking one morning about something with Jimmy Christopher about what was going on, and we were talking about something like Motley Crue, and he said, "Yeah, I just started talking about Motley Crue and Nikki Sixx, and he used to be in an LA band called London," and all these little trivial facts, you know. And Jimmy looks at us and he goes, "Wow, you're really into this shit, aren't you?" And I said, "No, Jimmy, I've been living this shit for the past 15 years, okay?"
Yeah, right.
To me, it was in my blood, you know. But.
Sure. Hey, when did you start doing a local show? Was that something you thought of?
Yeah, because I wanted to do, they used to do, when it was Rock and Rhythm, they used to do a show called Homegrown. And I said, you know, because I always was into the clubs anyways. And so presented the idea to program director and basically said, "That's a great idea," and got somebody else to host it. So there was another host for the first year or two, I think. And I picked the music, I programmed it, I wrote the scripts, I was out in the clubs seeing the bands, you know, so it's like my thing. And then when the other host left, I think it was Tom Marshall who said, I said, "Tom, I would really like to do this." And he said, "Okay, if you think you can do it, we'll give you a trial. Well, you know, we'll do it until, I'll let you do it, and we'll see how it goes in a couple of weeks. If it doesn't work out, or, you know, it doesn't click or whatever, then we'll have to get a host for it." Okay, well, they never got another host. So,
well, who was the first host?
Lady Di.
No, she shouldn't be, you know.
Right from South Africa, knew the local scene like a...
That's right. And she had been a Vegas dancer.
I mean, I loved her. I mean,
no, I did too.
We worked together really well, and so I had no problem. It's like, and she never said, "Oh, this is all me." So she wasn't, taking anything.
She was cool. I used to, unfortunately, she was doing overnights when I was doing the morning, and it would just scare the living shit out of her when I'd come in the back door.
Same thing when I'd be in the studio with her. We'd be doing the show live, and I would walk past the window, and she'd jump. It's like, I was down the hall 2 seconds ago.
Right.
What is wrong with you?
Right. She had a real interesting sound. Her accent was very interesting. L.A. radio has always loved somewhat of a British accent. I mean, look at the Richard Blades. I mean, it's just, they just do. I was at a station in back east, and they tried a British guy, and the rednecks just couldn't handle it. They just said, I don't know, who is that? What the hell's he saying?
Yeah, no kidding.
So when you got that show, what were the bands that you found that you'd bring on there? Or did they find you? How did it work?
It worked both ways. I would go to the clubs and basically stand in the back of the room or whatever and just kind of watch the bands. I never told anybody I was going to go. I mean, I never told bands I was going to go see them before I saw them most of the time, because not that I would make them nervous. I just want to see them do what they do, And if I liked a band, I'd go and hand them a card and go, hey, send me a tape. And eventually word gets around, and so the bands, they would call me or they would send their tapes to me. And I did something that the other stations in L.A. didn't do, and I listened to everything I got, which, sometimes is pretty horrendous.
Sure.
Because, it's like, someone gives you a tape, and I listen to it, and I just thought, I would think, what are these guys thinking did they not listen to this before they gave it to me? It's just like, oh, my God. But, you know the scene back then.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Every kid that could keep 4/4 times thought he was a metal musician,
Yeah, and it's just like, some of the bands, like, basically I got to play every local band that came through Southern California first. Either they were here or they came through, and I got to play them first, which was kind of cool. The only band I didn't get to play first or debut or whatever, that was Poison.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you did have Poison.
No, we didn't get to play them on the local because that was one of Enigma's big things, and they wanted to come out with a bang, and they didn't let the band hand out any demo tapes by the time they got a hold of them. Oh. So when Poison came to town, they got signed fairly quickly, but they worked their asses off too.
Oh yeah, no, they were. Brad's a real smart guy about the marketing and all that stuff.
Yeah, but they weren't putting out any kind of demo tapes or anything like that. I think either management or the label was saying, no, you know what, we just want you guys to record, play live, and then we're going to come out with a big bang. Mm-hmm. And so obviously it worked.
Oh yeah. Well, Bobby is Bobby Rock. He was from Florida, I think from the Tampa area. Yeah. I don't know where they got together to start, to build their band. Was it here or was it to somewhere else? And then they came here ready.
From what I remember, Ricky and Brett were both East Coast guys, and they came to town with another guitar player. I can't remember the guy's name. I'm not sure how Bobby got into the picture, if he came in before or after. But I know when they got here, they got rid of their guitar player, basically, and were looking for a new guitar player. I don't know how true this is. There was like 2 or 3 guys in the running, and one of the people in management found a guitar player, was just awesome guitar player. He belongs in your band. I know you guys are all blonde, but he's got black curly hair and wears a top hat. And they kind of went, no. It was Slash who it was.
Yeah.
And I don't know how true that is or not, but they ended up with CeCe.
Yeah.
They got, because he had the whole look,
sure,
stuff like that. He. I mean, you look at it, you go, wow, Slash would not fit with what this is.
No.
He's an awesome player, but CeCe fits the picture better.
Exactly. And speaking of Guns N' Roses, when did you get turned on to their demo? Because I think you played their demo before that big, before Appetite came out.
Oh yeah. I don't remember dates. I'm terrible. I'd have to look at stuff. Vicki Hamilton was their management. She, had a lot of good stuff going on. And luckily, I was on her good side and friends with her. And so she said, and she would send me tapes, because she would send me like Faster Pussycat and all that stuff too. But when she sent me the Guns N' Roses, I listened to it. I thought, this is good stuff. I really liked it. I played it a couple times, and she said, well, come on out. They're playing the Troubadour. Come see them playing the Troubadour. I said, all right. And I got to the show and then kind of stand there and just waiting for them to hit the stage. And all of a sudden, they came out, and 30 seconds into the song, I'm just there, like, Welcome to the Jungle. I'm thinking, this is big time. This is big time.
Yeah.
These guys are going to be huge. They're just going to blow up. Because, especially at the Troubadour, which is a tough venue to play, because you're on stage, you're out there, there's no place to hide, so you gotta have it together, and they just blew me away, and I've seen them, God only knows how many times, but.
Yeah, no, the same thing happened to me when I saw them. Of course, Appetite had already been released. You'd had the demo, you'd played that. Appetite gets released. It's, the thing is like stratospheric, and I had to introduce them at Perkins Palace.
Yeah.
In Pasadena. It's one of the most dynamic rock shows I've ever seen anywhere.
Yeah.
It was a great venue. There's about 2,500 people in there. It's sweaty. It's loud as hell. And it's just a rock and roll show. It was just that. And the music was just great. And they looked like a bunch of criminals.
Exactly. It's like you're thinking, oh, my God, where do these guys come from?
Yeah.
That was probably one of the standout things.
What other bands come to mind that went on to, bigger and better things? Is there a Warrant story in that?
Yeah, because I saw Warrant before Janie joined the band. We played their stuff early on. I played Warrant before Janie. I played the Warrant demo before Janie got in, then I played it after he got in. We were doing really well, and then for some reason, there was this rift between KNAC and Warrant. I'm not exactly sure what happened. I think it also had to do with pirate radio.
Uh-huh. I'll tell you why, because, they were, Scott Shannon got really tight with Bobby, what's-her-name, who was Janie's girlfriend, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's what happened. He probably said, why don't you guys start dumping on KNAC, and I'll put you on this 100,000 water up here in Hollywood.
And that's kind of what happened. And there was the straw that broke the camel's back, I think, why we stopped playing Warrant for a while, was because, they were becoming a pirate band, one. And two, they showed up one time during my show on a Sunday night. They had just gotten done recording a new song, and we're here to play it on the radio. I'm like going, I'm not going to play something I haven't heard before. Oh, we're Warrant, and we went back and forth, and luckily Ron Russ was there too. And so he came out and played the big honcho type guy, but they were just like drunk and belligerent.
Oh, sure.
There's no way I was letting them in. And so when that kind of got back to management, they just said, we'll be done with the band for a while, I think.
Yeah, we'll be done with Warrant for a little while. Bless their hearts. They got real full of themselves, like Craig said, got tight with the pirate radio, and then wondered why KNAC was upset with them. Just wondered why. And they had gone completely away. They had just completely dumped on us. And so I got to agree. Craig was right to stonewall him right there. And the fact of the matter is, the entire music scene, this is probably 90, 91 when this is starting to happen, the entire music industry was beginning to morph away from all the Hollywood glam sort of hair bands and that whole scene. We were heading towards grunge and heading towards Seattle. So it was kind of an interesting thing there that happened to Craig there, actually, right on the local show. One of the most critical outreaches that the KNAC radio station ever really did.
I think KNAC grew with the bands. As the bands got bigger, we grew with them, and we stayed with them. We just didn't kind of go, all right, kids, you're on your own now. It's like, say goodbye. It's like, no, we were there for them no matter what. I mean, even if, I think, Metallica could come back. Guns N' Roses, they knew they can come back, and no matter what, they were part of the family.
From those humble beginnings, and the KNAC local show, that's pretty humble beginnings. You got to admit that. We have a 1,000-watt signal. Our tower's in Dominguez Hills. We couldn't even get into the valley. We got down maybe halfway through OC. And, that those big bands, the Guns N' Roses bands, and Guns N' Roses did get their radio start on KNAC-FM Metallica, of course, was in their own stratosphere by the time we had already launched, and it was just a matter of them, going even farther, and KNAC riding on their coattails. The KNAC local show, an extremely part of the outreach, not only into the music community, but into our audience as well. All right. I'll have more insight into the pure rock years of KNAC-FM in future podcasts. I appreciate you listening today. In the meantime, your comments and correspondence of any kind, always welcome at thrashpieradio@gmail.com. Plus, give us a like and a share, and keep your eye on your Facebook page for the next Thrashpie Radio Podcast.